Hello everybody and welcome back to Reading for Vocabulary. I'm Brian Stewart. Well, we're on our last lesson for Unit 1 talking about architecture. In Lesson 3, we're going to be talking about a famous architect, right? We've talked about the architect as a job. We've talked about examples of famous architecture around the world. Now let's talk about a famous person who is an architect, and his name is Frank Lloyd Wright. We can see many of his buildings still around today. We're going to focus on learning about Frank Lloyd Wright. Well, who was Frank Lloyd Wright? What did he look like? There he is. He looks very thoughtful. Of course, this is an old picture. Frank Lloyd Wright lived a while ago. He's not living anymore. And he designed many famous buildings in America. He kind of looks like Einstein, right? Very thoughtful with the white hair. But anyway, this is him. He was a very famous architect. Now, what are some of the buildings that he left behind? This is an example of a house. This house was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. In fact, he designed and he had built many different houses. And if you're lucky, and if you are an owner of this house, you can be very proud. And of course, the house is quite expensive though. But they're very well designed and they're very easy to live in. They're very good design. They look and feel very nice. Also, Frank Lloyd Wright didn't just design houses, he designed lots of different types of buildings. Also, he designed different types of structures that are like monuments or statues. And this is an example of one of the monuments or statues that Frank Lloyd Wright created. So architects don't just create one type of building like a house or an office building. They do many different things. Architects can be very creative and build all sorts of different structures, and we'll read about that later. But before we get to the reading, we should go over the vocabulary. The first word we're going to study here is the word to describe something that doesn't go straight. Now, if a road goes straight, we say, okay, it's straight. It doesn't have any what? It doesn't have any curves, okay? If you see a road that goes to the right or it goes to the left, we say it has a curve. We can say there is a curve in the road. Be careful, slow down. If you're riding your bike, you can go fast if it's straight, but slow down on a curve. Okay, next word. Now, looks like this is she lives here, right? She's answering the door, and she is coming by. Why? She is someone who goes to a place for a short time. What do we call this person? We call this person a visitor. She is visiting her. She is visiting her, right? So she is a visitor to her home. Okay, if you come to my house, you are a visitor to my house. If I go to your house, I am a visitor to your house, a visitor. The next one, to change how someone thinks or acts. So if you want to change the way someone behaves, maybe you don't like their behavior, or maybe you want to improve their behavior, like for example in a sports game, you need to influence. You need to influence them. So the fact that mom and dad they like to play tennis, they like to play sports, that will influence their daughter. She will grow up and she will like to play sports too, because they're changing how someone else thinks or acts. You influence them. Who has influenced you in your life? Next one. The area around something. Okay, so if we say that like there's many buildings in a city, what do we call the area around the buildings? We call it the environment. It's also the area around us, right? We can have different environments. If we are in the city, we say we are in an urban environment. Urban means city. We are in the city. That's the type of environment we are in. But if we go to the country, then we say we are in a sorry, I was thinking about the pronunciation. Rural. Be careful because pronunciation's 힘들어. Rural, right? R and L. rural. Rural means you're in the country. So you can have an urban environment that's in the city, or you can have a rural environment, there's just one L, that's out in the countryside. So different environments. It's the area. What is your environment like? Next one, wow, very pretty. Looks like somewhere in Europe, maybe Switzerland. It's very pretty. If we talk about the land being very pretty, we can say it's beautiful. Also, another specific word for the land, we say it's scenic. Scenic. So, beautiful, very pretty, it's beautiful. If we're talking about the land, the landscape, we say it's scenic. In Switzerland, it's very scenic countryside. It's very beautiful countryside. Next one. To have information about. If you have information about something, you know it. So what information do you have inside your head? That's the same as asking, what do you know? Now, know is an irregular verb, so we use it when we're talking in the past. 과거, right? We say know, 지금, knew, 전에, and known. Maybe for a long time. I have known that for a long time. So, to know, knew, known. Did you know I was from America? Yeah, I've known that for months, okay? I knew that before, okay? And what do you know now? Know, knew, known. Okay, next one. Useful items in our home that we can move around. So there are many useful items. You can sit on them. You can put things inside them. They are containers. You can put things on top of them. So we're talking about chairs, sofas, tables, cabinets, useful items in our home but we can move them around. They're not fixed, right? This is a fireplace. We're not talking about that. You can't move the fireplace, right? It stays there. But the things you can move around, we call furniture. Furniture. Be careful. When we say furniture, we mean everything. Furniture is non-count. Don't. No S at the end of furniture. Never say furnitures. It's furniture. There's a lot of furniture in this room. Or there's only one piece of furniture in this room. Okay? There's a little furniture or there's a lot of furniture. But don't use S. It's non-count. Okay. To finish doing something important. You finished doing something important, right? So you have achieved something. To achieve. What have you achieved in your life, right? You've graduated from different grades in elementary school. Maybe you're going on to middle school or starting high school. You've successfully achieved graduating from these different grades. You maybe got an A on a test, hopefully more than one test. You've made many achievements. Okay, so you have achieved something. Now, achievement, as one word, that's the noun. But achieve, just achieve, that's the verb. What did you achieve? I have many achievements. Okay, next one. Natural, like plants and animals. When we go to the store and we buy something, we want to look for maybe organic foods. Organic means they were made naturally. Think about that. We think, well, plants are natural. What are you talking about? The thing is, the idea there is that for a long time, many plants are grown using chemicals or man-made products, but sometimes this might be unhealthy. Those chemicals might not be good for our bodies. So now people are more concerned or are interested in foods that are grown completely naturally with no chemicals, no man-made chemicals. And we call that type of food organic. Nothing unnatural was used to make these plants. No unnatural chemicals, for example. Okay, next one. Different from everything else. So, and this is a good example because this is what we call a fingerprint. And if you think about it, I have a print on my finger, right? You have a print on your finger. But if we put them here side by side, they will be different. Why? Because everybody has a unique. Unique means one of a kind. You're the only person with that fingerprint in the world. Isn't that interesting? right? Of course, police use fingerprints to find criminals, right? So maybe it's not great, but of course you won't do anything bad. But think about that. The fingerprint that you have on your finger is different from your sister, it's different from your brother, it's different from your mom or your dad. You are unique. Only you have that certain pattern on your fingers. You are unique. And not just in fingerprints, but in many other ways too. Okay, the next word is this. Ojamalyawao, is my pronunciation okay? That's a difficult word for me to pronounce. But if you have to go to the bathroom, where we go to the bathroom, you use this device here. It's kind of like an appliance. What do we call it? We call it a toilet. So I need to use the toilet is very common. I need to use the toilet. Now some people, when they're in a department store or they're in a movie theater and you need to use a toilet, some people might say, excuse me, where is the toilet? Now in that case, they might be talking about the room. Maybe they don't have to use the toilet. Maybe they just want to wash their face or change their clothes, right? For some reason. In that case, you can also say, where is the rest room, or where is the bathroom? It's actually more polite to say where is the restroom than to say where is the toilet. So if you want to be polite, it's better to say where is the restroom. You can say bathroom, but most common for public places, we say, excuse me, where is the restroom? And then you can tell your friend, I have to use the toilet. But you know, it's more polite to say restroom. Anyway, but we use the toilet in the restroom. Next word. Okay, now in this word we have water, going from a high place to a lower place. It's a lot of water, and we're talking about a lot of water, not a little water, but a lot of water, like a river, right? Or a large stream. Going from a high place to a low place. And it's a very easy word when you think about it, because we're talking about water. What does the water do? It's falling. So we say it's a waterfall. Very easy word, right? Waterfall. Waterfall. It's not a verb, it's a noun. A waterfall. And there are many famous waterfalls in the world. Okay. Done with no mistakes. Wow, look at that. A+, big percent. 좋아요, right? So done with no mistakes, what do we call that? We say he did it perfectly. Now, ly means it's an adverb, and that defines the verb. So he did it perfectly. Because perfectly, we're describing how did he do it. Right? But we can also use just the word perfect. His score is perfect. Now in this case, it's an adjective because we're talking about a noun. We're describing a noun. His score is perfect. He did it perfectly. Okay, so that's the difference using ly. Are we describing the verb or are we describing the noun? How did you do on your last test? Did you do it perfectly? Did you have a perfect score? I hope so. Okay, let's move on. A hard cover for some sea animals. Do you like to go to the beach? On the beach, when you're walking along, you have the water and the sand, and right next to where the water comes, you can find many hard coverings. These are parts of animals, right? They're not stones. They're parts of animals. Animals made those. What do we call them? We call them seashells. And as you can see, they can be very beautiful and different designs. And some people like to collect them, okay? But try not to collect too much of them in some places, because the next person who goes there, there's no seashells. So sometimes it's best just to leave things in nature and just look at it, appreciate it, but leave it there for the next person to come and enjoy it too. Okay, but seashells. Okay, next one. A long floor that goes up. Unfortunately, there are people who are handicapped. They cannot move normally. So we need to help them. And one way to help them is like this. If you look at this boy, you think, how can he go upstairs? If there's a building and there are only stairs in the building, it's very terrible for him. how does he get into the building? So many buildings will build these long floors that go up to help handicapped people who are in wheelchairs. We call these areas ramps. They're a ramp. It's a nice, gentle slope that you can go up in a wheelchair, or for other people, maybe older people or people who are injured and they have a hard time, they can go up the ramp more easily than other people who just climb up the stairs. Okay, the next one. The act of finding new information. So this is what scientists do all the time. They're trying to find new information. So they do research. Usually when we talk about research, of course, scientists do a lot of research, but many other people do research too, right? Professors at the university, if their subject is literature, they're researching the old text about maybe William Shakespeare or some other famous author from a long time ago. If you are an artist, you will do research by researching famous painters in history, or famous painters or new modern trends in painting. When you find new information, you are doing research. And be careful here, research is a non-count noun. People do research. We don't do researches, we do research. Okay, so the scientists have are doing a lot of interesting research. It's non-count. Don't put an S on the end of it, or ES. Okay, now let's review the words that we have just learned, and with some exercises. The instructions are: choose the word that best completes the sentence. These are our words. We need to find one, the best one, to put into these blanks. Number one. You should beep more in school. Somebody's always telling you this, right? Sorry. You don't work hard enough. Okay, so you should what more in school? You should influence more in school. You should influence your friends. That doesn't make sense. You should allow. That doesn't make, allow what? You should sleep more. Yes, that's it. You should sleep more in school. No, absolutely not. I'm sorry. I didn't say that. Shh. Okay. You should achieve more in school. That makes sense. Okay, that's the right one. Don't sleep more in school. Okay, I'm just kidding. You should achieve more in school. In other words, if somebody doesn't work hard enough, let's say your friend is a little lazy. They don't study hard enough. They get bad grades on their tests. You could say you don't achieve enough. You should achieve more in school. You don't work hard enough. Okay, so work harder, achieve more. Okay, number two. Now, don't forget number one. You should achieve more in school. Okay, number two. That lady is beep. She should be a movie star. When you watch the movies, when you look at the movies these days, normally movies aren't really real, right? The people in the movies are always very good looking. Right? Especially it's interesting when you look at movies that are based on a true story, right? And you look at the actors. The actors are always usually much better looking than the people who the story is based on, right? That's very interesting. But you know, that's part of entertainment. So what can we say? That lady is beyond. Beyond means she's further away. That doesn't make sense. She is beautiful. She's beautiful. That's probably the right answer. She is achieve. You can't say somebody is achieve. Achieve is a verb, not an adjective, so that doesn't make sense. That lady is perfectly. No, remember perfectly describes a verb, not a noun. So that wouldn't work. If you said that lady is perfect, that could be an answer, but this is perfectly, so it doesn't fit grammatically. The best answer, of course, is beautiful. Like I said before, that's probably your answer. That lady is beautiful. She should be a movie star. Because when we look at movies, usually the beautiful people are the movie stars. That's changing recently. Nowadays, there are more and more people who look like real people in the movies. And that's maybe a good thing too, because it really should be based on talent, not beauty. Okay, 3. The road, beep, up ahead. Be ready to turn. Remember when I talked about this? I said if the road is straight, you don't have to be so careful. But if the road does this, right, you have to be ready to turn, right? So what does the road do? Does the road influences? Does it achieves? Does it curves? Does it fits? The road of course, curves up ahead. The road curves, so be ready to turn. Remember, a curve can be to the right, orenchokoro, or it can be to the left, wenchokoro, or jaijan, right? Still learning my Korean. Okay, so it can curve either direction, to the right or to the left. Be ready to turn. Turn right or turn left. Okay, 4. Do you beep what the homework is for tonight? So if your teacher gave you some homework, right, and you were sleeping, you don't what? Oh, sorry, that's curves. You don't know what the homework is. So you ask your friend, do you know what the homework is for tonight? Do you know what the homework is for tonight? You wouldn't say, do you chance? That's not right. Do you believe? That doesn't fit. And do you research? No. Do you know? If you have the information in your head, you have the answer in your head, then you know it. If you don't have the answer in your head, you're going to try to find it, then you will research it. But we don't say, do you research? We say, do you know? Because we want to know, do you know the information or don't you know the information? Do you know what the homework is for tonight? And we can use many words here. Do you know how? Do you know where? Do you know when? Do you know why? Do you know who? Okay, so we can use lots of these question words here after do you know. And we want to know if you know that information or not. Do you know how to get to school? Do you know where I live? Do you know when the test is? Do you know why we're having a test? Do you know who our teacher is? Right? If you know this information, you can use these question words after do you know to find out that information from your friends. Okay, let's continue. No. Do you know what the homework is for tonight? Okay, next one, number 5. Many beep go to the new museum every year. So when you go to a museum, you go there for a short time. You don't live there, you don't stay there, you go there for a short time and then you leave. So what can we describe that situation? Many environments. Environments don't go to museums, right? Visitors, visitors go for a short time. That's our answer. Many visitors go to the new museum every year. Not faster, not seashells go to the museum. Maybe there might be an exhibit on about seashells, but they don't go there every year. That's kind of silly. Okay, let's move on to number 6. Where I live, the beep is cold and snowy. So we're talking about the area around you. It can also be just around you or around your house. It's the area in which you live is cold and snowy. That's the space that surrounds you. What word is that? The furniture is cold and snowy? Furniture can't be snowy. Furniture can be cold, but not snowy. The visitor is cold and snowy? That doesn't make sense. The environment, the space around you, like the country around you is cold and snowy. Maybe you live far in the north. The environment is cold and snowy, not the influence. So where I live, the environment is cold and snowy. Okay, let's move on to number 7. All the beep in our house is made of wood. So what do you have inside your house that might be made of wood? And it's usually made of wood. Think about your bed. Think about your chair. Think about your table, your desk, right? These things, what do we call these things? Do we call them inside? No. Do we call them visitors? No, people are not made of wood. Okay. Do we call them furniture? Yes, we call them furniture. All the furniture in our house is made of wood. Not all the beautiful. Beautiful is an adjective, not a noun. It doesn't fit. So the best one is furniture. All the furniture in our house is made of wood. And that's typical. Usually furniture is made of wood. Number 8, my teacher beep me in a good way. I work harder now. So if your teacher has done something to change your behavior so that you work harder now, what did your teacher do? Did your teacher visitor you? That doesn't make sense grammatically. Did your teacher achieves you? Again, that doesn't make sense grammatically. Your teacher knows you in a good way? That's a little strange. Your teacher influences. Your teacher influences me in a good way. It changed my behavior in a good way. Okay, so that's the answer there. My teacher influences me in a good way. Now I work harder. So people who inspire you, people who you want to follow or copy, they may influence you to change your behavior or the way that you think. Okay, well that wraps it up for the vocabulary section. Let's take a short break and we'll start with the reading section soon. Don't go away.